Welcome guys, welcome back to the channel. As always, after a game, a review show with some Allegri quotes, quotes that are getting weirder and weirder with every game passing, I would say. I mean, you all read them probably, and the quotes are, I don't know what to say, the quotes are lies. They're just straight up lies. I hope they're lies, because if he believes what he's saying, then we are in big trouble. Then this is not even the bottom. Yeah, let's get into it. As always, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and leave a comment. So yesterday, we needed 3 points. Like going up. Starting from now until the end of the season, basically, we need all the 3 points. We're not getting all the 3 points, I get that, but against a direct rival for top 4, which they are, Atalanta are, Roma are, Fiorentina are, Lazio are, we are, I think Inter and Milan are playing on their own. They will not get sucked into a top 4 race at all. We needed 3 points, and we played against a Napoli team, and I saw a lot of people saying in the comments that we are being harsh, that they didn't play with their B team, and it was just a figure of speech. But they played with a half squad at least. Their backline, I said it yesterday, their backline isn't a backline of a top team. Their backline is a backline for, I mean, the backline they fielded out yesterday is a backline you expect Bologna to field out. Like, Gulam was a good player at the time. I thought he retired. I didn't even know Juan Jesus was playing for Napoli. There was only Di Lorenzo. That's that. Then in the midfield, they were missing, I keep forgetting the name, who joined the Africa Cup. I forgot him now. Fabian Ruiz was not there. Up top, they had no Osimhen. They were havoc. They dominated. And I don't want to see stats from shots on target, shots on goal. They dominated. If you look at the game, just pure, don't look at the stats. They dominated possession. They killed the game off with their possession, and we had nothing to put against that. Like, and that's frustrating. That's worrying, and that's kind of embarrassing. At home, we had little to nothing to offer. We were just bad overall, especially in the first half. Bar the first 10 minutes where we pressed, I won't say really well, we pressed better than in previous games. It was still not perfect, and we will talk about it in our podcast why it wasn't perfect, but we tried. But after the first 10 minutes, we just got back into old habits, and that's getting the ball to Chiesa and getting him into space one-on-one, if ideally, but he's on his own. Like, the amount of times that he got the ball and he looked up and there was no Morata, there was no Bernardeschi, there was no one. And that's not sustainable. Like, that's not even sustainable in one game, and we've seen that yesterday. Like, that you cannot do that in one game, let alone for the rest of the season. There's no game plan at all. Or the game plan that's the game plan, but you cannot call that a game plan. Like, the amount of times Cuadrado, De Ligt just hoofed the ball up top to Chiesa, to Keane, to Morata, and they were just struggling because they were on his own. That's not football, like, and that's not sustainable, and that's not how you're gonna make top 4, and that's not how you're gonna beat top 4 teams, which we also will talk about in the podcast that will be out tomorrow. We picked up 3 points against the top 4 at the moment. 3 points, and 1 point we got in the last minute because Dumfries made I don't know what he did. He made a stupid mistake. That's that. So 3 points out of 5 games. So 3 points out of 15 possible points against the top 4. How do you want to make top 4 if you're not winning those games? Especially yesterday at home when you just needed to go for it. It's just, I don't know. It boggles my mind. But we will get into Allegri's comments. And before I get into it, I know people will say he's not going on camera after a game and call out his players individually, and I get that. That's fine. I don't expect that from a coach to do that in front of the media. But just in general, he talks as if nothing is happening. Nothing bad is happening. Everything will be okay. After every game, we hear the same things. And that's lying to the fans, basically. Just be honest, because fans who are angry at the moment will respect you more if you just be honest with it. And the hope, basically, is that he doesn't believe the things he's saying. That's the only hope we have now, because what he's saying is kind of wild. So we will get into it. And the first thing, not the first thing, but one of the I picked out the wildest takes, basically. And the first quotes are, "It was important to win and move up the table. We will do that later." Then he said, "The league table is the same as it was just before the game. We see everything in a positive light. We need more serenity. But tonight, the team played a good game against Napoli, who are a very good team with excellent ball controllers." Now, I will start with the last part. Napoli are a good team, keeping the ball, but they were missing players and they were playing away from home. Throw that excuse in the bin. Like, that's not an excuse. Like, that's not an excuse at all. And then the rest is just wild. Like, it's just wild what he says. It was important to win, move up the table, but we will do that later. When? Like, you move up the table when you take points from those top 4 teams, which we, at the moment, are not capable of doing. Like, the stats show that. 3 points out of 15. So how are you going to move up the table if you're not able to pick up points against those teams above you? You're just hoping those teams above you drop points against teams against we will drop points also. Like, we can go to Sampdoria and not win. Like, we all know that. So it doesn't matter. Like, you need to win those games, especially at home. If you go away to Napoli and you pick up a point this season, I will go, yeah, I'll take it this season. But if you play it at home and you play like you did yesterday, that's not okay. Like, that's unacceptable, in my opinion. The way he speaks also, like, I like Allegri, but he's at fault for a lot of things this season. And I'm not saying I expected champagne football and a Scudetto race. I didn't, because I know the players we have, just not only ability-wise, just on the ball, but just also mentally. Some of them are kind of embarrassing. They're not capable to compete for what we want to compete. We know that. But when Allegri came in, I personally expected we will get a mentality. We will be a team again, a group. And that's not happening at all at the moment. We have no mentality at all. We're not a group. We're not a team, because that's not a team out there. Like, you can see it. That's not a team. So that's my main, my main problem with Allegri at the moment. Then if you go on and you say the way we play, I agree. With the way we play, you cannot win games, because isolating Morata, and getting the ball to Chiesa in the hope that he makes things happen it's not a tactic. Like, that's not sustainable. You're not winning. You're not gonna win enough games to make top 4 in that matter. It's not like we scraped it last season. That's not happening this season again. So that's that. Then we move on to the next quote, which is a serious problem at the club. He said, "We are 5th in the table, but we have only scored 28 goals. We have to work on it, but they will come when we need to score more with the midfielders soon." Now, the first part, that's shocking. 20 games, 28 goals. That's embarrassing. I think Verona has 36 with Tudor, who was our assistant coach last season. So that's not all. So, like, that's not. You cannot blame that on the players. Yeah, you can put blame on the players, because we've seen Morata miss easy chances. But overall, going forward, we're disorganized. Like, we have no plan. It's all kind of freestyling. It's all based on Chiesa or Dybala doing something out of nowhere. Like, there's no pattern of play like we've seen in the past with Allegri. I agree, with better players maybe, but Chiesa, Dybala, Morata, they're not scrubs. Like, it's not possible. You cannot play a more how do you want to say it, a more organized attacking play with all those players. Like, you cannot tell me that. That's insane. Like, 28 goals after 20 games in Serie A, it's embarrassing. Like, you expect that from, again, a Bologna. Like, we should be on 40 almost. Or not almost, we should be on 40. But we are not. We're not even close. And then he goes on saying the midfielders don't score enough. I agree. I want to say yesterday Rabiot made some good runs, but as he pointed out after the game, getting the ball to Rabiot was also a problem yesterday. So it's one of the other. There are no runs, or the ball doesn't get there. And why does the ball don't get there? And that's Locatelli, where he comes in. Now, I tweeted it out, like, I'm not the biggest Arthur fan, but can he really not play as a number 6? Like, against a smaller team, especially against the teams you should be beating? Because freeing up Locatelli and moving him in the 8th position, I think that will solve not all the problems, but a lot of the problems. We will be more dangerous going forward. We will be more dangerous with our midfielders. The attack will be more fluid. Because even yesterday, you can see the way Locatelli can play a ball. But he needs to do that from so deep that, yeah, you're moving forward, but not enough. Like, imagine him doing that position, making those passes or those decisions on the ball when he's already, 20 meters up the field and not needing to start in front of De Ligt and Rugani and De Ligt and Bonucci. Because that's a position he's playing now. And I'm not saying he's not playing well in that position, but we are wasting him. We are wasting his main attributes, his main qualities. We are wasting him because he can be a goal threat. He can be the guy who can create stuff, who can link up play between midfield, the backline, midfield, and attack. He is that guy. But if he needs to do that from that position, you will see that great pass. Because in the first half, he played an amazing pass to Bernardeschi. Bernardeschi messed it up once again. But he can do that. But in that position, he's not going to do that consistently throughout the game. He's not. Especially when we don't have the ball. And we are sitting that deep. So that's a question we need to ask. Like, is Arthur really that incapable of playing that position? I think it's worth a shot at the moment because it's kind of desperation mode. Like, Rabiot ain't it. McKennie on the ball, he's like... It's also not great, like, let's be honest. So I think it's worth a shot. It's worth a shot. He needs to do something because these players are not going to score goals out of nowhere. It's not happening. The only thing I see possible in changing that is moving Locatelli up the field a bit. Because even yesterday, McKennie in the first 3 minutes, he had a free header and I don't know how we missed that. That should have been a goal. And that's kind of McKennie's problem this season. He's missing too much of those chances because he makes those runs or he comes and he arrives in those dangerous situations, but then he messes it up. And if he messes up those chances, you're just looking at his play, and his play, it's not good. Like, it's nothing spectacular. It's just normal, I would say average at times, and then everything looks worse. That's that. And then we move on to the rest of his quotes. Yeah, he also said something about against direct rivals you win, sometimes you lose, and today we drew. Like, that's Allegri. I don't know what that quote was, but that's him. And then he said, and this is condemning what he now said, because basically he's taking shots at itself at this point. He said the boys played a good game, aggressive and technical, but you have to understand the moment of the game when you can accelerate. At a certain point, only Locatelli was playing, the other midfielders were running away. Now, if you see that happening on the field, and you allow that to happen, that's not on the players, that's on you. Like, you're on the sidelines, you give the instructions. Do they don't listen? Great, sub them off. But the fact that you come out and say that, but don't give extra context in basically saying, I told them to do that, or I told them to move up the pitch, but it didn't happen, blah, blah, blah. Then we as fans have a bit of, we can put it into perspective. We can say, okay, he said that, the players are not executing, then we know it's the players. But at this moment in time, with these quotes and what we see on the field, most of the blame should be going to Allegri. Because if he sees that only Locatelli, and we see that when Locatelli's in the ball, like, players are hiding. It's very difficult for Locatelli, especially playing that deep. It's very difficult. We can see players hiding. Rabiot, he's a master of hiding in games. Like, he can disappear for 40 minutes and then he pops up with a, I don't know with what. He just pops up with something and you're like, oh, he's still on the pitch. That's on the coach. Like, that's on you. Like, you play them. You see that. You allow that to happen week in, week out. That's up to you. So these quotes are kind of condemning. Because he's basically calling out his players, fair, because they should be called out, but he's also calling himself out, maybe indirectly, because I don't think he thinks the way I'm thinking. But you're the coach, you see this happening, you allow this to happen. You cannot moan about the players then. Like, they're not gonna sub them off themselves. So that's that. That's what he said. Now, on Sunday, we have Roma, another. It's a direct rival for top 4. It's not a top 4 team, but we missed another opportunity yesterday. And going away to Roma, and they're missing Mancini and Cristante and Karsdorp, and they're not in a good moment. But are we? When was the last time we went to Roma and played a good game and took the 3 points? Like a convincing game? I don't know. Like, we struggle the last few years at Roma, and we will struggle again, just because, not because Roma are a good team, because we cannot handle pressure, and we are not a good team at the moment, all season. So that's another big game, and we said it, it's a must-win game. Everything is a must-win game, but that's, I don't want to put it, like, I don't know how to put it, that's a super must-win game. Like, you cannot drop points in that game. You drop points yesterday, you cannot drop points on Sunday. Like, that's unacceptable. If you drop points on Sunday, I said it before, Atalanta are not playing, I think, 2 games because they're not allowed. And I said it, I'd rather have points in hand than games in hand. But if you don't win on Sunday, the table will still look kind of the same because they're not playing. But it can change really quickly. If they win their games in hand, it's not 4 points, 5 points. It could be 10, 11, really, really quickly. That's the moment we are in now. And in the press conference, he said, we understand the moment. The team understands the moment. I don't think they do, because yesterday there was no urgency to get that winner. After that goal, we had, like, I would say 50 seconds after we scored the 1-1, we had some pressure. We had some decent half chances. And then we just, that's it. We just quit. And the last 20 minutes, we just went to defending and trying to counter the shit out of Napoli, which didn't work at all. Besides Dybala making that run and putting it to Keane and it got deflected, we did absolutely nothing to win that game after a 1-1. And that's not good enough. And that shows the team doesn't understand the moment. The team, I mean players and coach, especially the coach, because that's from coaching, that comes from the coach. They don't understand the moment. They don't really grasp the importance of that game, of winning a direct game and going from 5 points behind to 2 points behind. They missed that point. And I mean points, but also that point of doing that. So it's a worrying situation. It is. And that's that basically. We go again, as always. Let's see on Sunday if something will change. I expect some changes in formation. With that, I mean, Dybala coming into the team, if he's fit, you should be playing. Like, it's a big moment. You need your best players out there. You cannot play Bernardeschi. Like, if Dybala's fit, you cannot do that. And even if they don't fit the formation, you need to win games. Something needs to happen. And at the moment, we are just relying on individual brilliance. And that's not Bernardeschi. So that's Dybala. I'm not digging out Bernardeschi, but he's occupying that position now. Like, I don't want Rabiot and players like that, Sandro, into the team. I just saw Romeo saying Pellegrini and Caio returned in training, so that's good. Hopefully Pellegrini can play, but I don't think so, because he didn't train for a couple of days because he had the flu. So I don't expect him to play. It's going to be Sandro again, probably. So yeah, we go again, as always. Thanks for watching. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we will see you in the next one. Ciao.